Okay, it's over. It's come and gone. World's end. Now, what does this mean? I don't know what the other YouTubers are going to say. I don't know what the other wrestling podcasters are going to say. But this is just me. We got good wrestling, but nothing happened until the end of the show. And it was only one thing that was not underwhelming, but should have been more. And it was not more. Now, mind you, I'm going to say it now. You already know what happened. Adam Copeland's back. He's with FTR. And they're going to have a match this Wednesday on the first simulcast on TBS, and TNT and Max. That's what the exciting thing is, guys. The most exciting thing. Adam Copeland with FTR going against the Death Riders. I'm like, I don't blame this. Making my eyes itch. This is making my eyes itch. It's making me itch. Maybe that's a better way to say it. Guys, let's put this on the table. Is it a boring pay-per-view? No. Was there great wrestling? Yes. But was there anything that was done to make it special? No. No. And that's terrible. I know everyone's going to say, what about Adam Copeland? Yes, and I will get to why it was a good thing, but it wasn't an exciting thing. I'm just going to say it. But let's start with 0 Hour. And, the reason I sound like I messed up when I said 0 Hour, because I look at the first match on 0 Hour. You put Toni Storm with Erla Grey as the first match of the show. Now, mind you, the crowd were behind her. They were chanting for her. That's fine. But after the debacle of putting her on Rampage as her debut, and now Rampage, I haven't even had a chance to see the last Rampage that's ever going to be aired on TNT. I mean TBS. I haven't seen it yet. I didn't see it. Is it TBS or TNT? I can't remember what station it was on. It was on a dead time. I used to review it. And then there was nothing there, and I just gave up doing it. And you, in your incredible mind, Tony, decide with only 1 or 2 days or 1 or 2 weeks left, air a returning Toni Storm on Rampage, which pissed off your own staff and pissed off your own wrestlers. And now you put her on 0 Hour. 0 Hour. A match that could have been on a Dynamite. I'm sorry. This match could have been on a Dynamite. Grey, I had no problem with her. She went away. She went to train some more. She came back, and she did look better in the ring. But let's make this very clear. We are still talking about Toni Storm. We are. And many people may say, well, this is a good thing. Let her start going from the ground up. And I'm not going to lie about that. I do agree. But why on 0 Hour? When this could have been done on Dynamite. This didn't need to be on 0 Hour. She didn't need to open 0 Hour. I can understand if she opened up on the pay-per-view with someone like Deonna Purrazzo. But that's not going to happen. That's on this Wednesday. Instead of it being on the show. You could have given her that. No. This was a match that was meant for Dynamite. Or Collision for that matter. Not 0 Hour. I did not want to see Toni Storm open the damn show when she is supposed to be getting over. Yes, the crowds cheered for her, but it wasn't not enough for me personally. I'm moving on. Jeff Jarrett versus QT Marshall. What did I think about this match? Nothing. I didn't see the build for it. If I'm right, most of the build was done on Rampage, and I didn't see any of the build being done on Collision when I managed to, at least when I could watch it. I saw nothing of it. Now, mind you, might have missed it because I know I did do Saturday Night's Main Event. So if that was where the build was, there you go. But I'm being honest here. 100% honest. I don't care about Jeff. Even though I don't hate Jeff, I don't care because there's no build for him. And QT Marshall, after AJ Boom, I don't even remember what the guy's name is anymore. I don't remember what the guy that he faced that was on the other show. A Full Gear opening. I really. Now he's supposedly a phenomenon. I don't feel it with QT Marshall. I'm surprised he's still working for AEW. I thought he was going to leave, but he's staying. And now we're going to find out what's going on with Jeff Jarrett, because this Wednesday he has an announcement about his career. Do I believe he's going to retire? I don't know. I don't know if he's going to retire. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. But it would have been nice to have some type of build going into it. And we didn't get that. Moving on. Final match, an 8-man tag with the Don Callis family, with Lance Archer, with let's make this clear. There is a story between Top Flight and Leo Rush and Action Andretti. There is a story there. Fine. But then you bring in the Outrunners, who actually are popular, and I like them. But you put them on 0 Hour in this situation where they're not meant to win. They're not. Hell, when you look at Lance Archer and Brian Cage, they're a joke. I'm saying it right now. I wish Lance Archer would not come back to AEW. When he goes away again, which he eventually will, I want him to just go away and not come back. Not because I think he's trash. It's because AEW never does anything good with him. He's just getting this. He's not getting treated correctly. And neither is Brian, for that matter. Brian Cage, what is he? Nothing. Nothing. You got them teamed up with Don, which means nothing. And in the end, who got the pin? Leo Rush got the pin because they wanted to try and set this up for Private Party going up against somebody. And they got it with Leo Rush and Action Andretti. Do I believe they could be a credible team? Yeah, fine. But when you look at the other people that are in that match, they should be doing something with the Outrunners. They should be doing something with Lance Archer and Brian Cage. They should have already won titles already. And they're not. So this is what you get. First match. Will Ospreay versus Kyle Fletcher. I do not remember who was supposed to face who. I don't mean that. Let me give it to you like this. Knowing the Continental Classic was changed, and that pissed me off. They should never change the rules for the Continental Classic because someone felt inadequate about it. Tony, I don't agree with it. It was wrong. But was this a bad match between Kyle and Will? No. Will started bleeding. Will started bleeding heavily after one spot. I can't remember which one it was. But it was a good match between the two. And he won his match. He's moving from the semifinals to now the finals. Then we have the semifinal match between Ricochet, who was a second chance, I believe, versus Okada, who was the one who won his league. Was a very good match. Was. I didn't have a problem with the match. Seeing that Okada won, I was not surprised. Like Will, I was not surprised. And here with Okada, I was definitely not surprised. Now, here's where it gets a little interesting. One of the few things in the show that was interesting. Not great. Interesting. We got, which was already stated in this Dynamite, excuse me, you got A Swerve Strickland coming out saying you lost your match. Now you're going to have to learn a lesson. Because he was upset. I mean, Ricochet was pissed that he lost. He couldn't stand that he lost. But then Prince Nana comes down to the ring with a big cart full of toilet paper. He goes semicircle around the ring, and you see that legitimately, kind of stupid to be honest. It's stupid to see Ricochet just standing there and not go after A Swerve Strickland. But he just stands there, and Swerve says to everyone, we need to give Ricochet something really good. We need to give him something going in 2025. When I count to 3, or when I tell you, let's give it to him. And they throw toilet paper into the ring. And he just stood there and took it. Not like he gets out of the ring and says, who the hell you think you are? No. He gets in the ring. He does his match. He loses the match. He stands there in the middle of that ring and takes getting showered with toilet paper, and it swerved that pissed him off while doing it. And under most circumstances, you would see someone getting out of the ring and dealing with it. Or better yet, you would have already given this to the fans beforehand so they would be ready for it. But with Nana coming down in the ring, it felt awkward that Ricochet didn't go out and try to beat the shit out of Prince Nana for trying to do it. And swerve to try and stop him. But we don't get that. We get him standing in there, being like a dunce, and getting showered with toilet paper rolls. And the look on his face, and I won't say it was a bad look, it was a good ass look. He was freaking pissed off because that happened. And I'm alright with that. That was good. But now the question is, what do they do? What is going to happen with Ricochet? I don't know. It's a good question. Hopefully, we will find out. Next match, we get the Tijuana Street Fight. But one thing that's a little confusing about the Tijuana Street Fight, if you guys didn't notice when Thunder Rosa came out, the thing that gets me, if we're talking about Tijuana, why were there lowrider bikes that if I don't know if Mexico does the same type of lowrider bikes like they do in Cali, because normally those type of bikes are seen in Cali and sometimes here in New York when it's hot in the summer. Sometimes you get that type of lowrider bike. But I could be wrong that they do that in Mexico. Could be wrong. And I don't mind being wrong because I don't know. But it was kind of weird seeing bikes that would make you think about California than Mexico. And then we get the match between her and Mariah May. I'm going to be honest here. Did I actually believe Mariah May was going to win? No. Because there's been almost no story build up. We got more from when Toni Storm came back and acting like rocker Toni Storm than my tasteless Toni Storm, or timeless Toni Storm, as everyone else calls her. I call her tasteless. My tasteless Toni Storm, who had to open the show at 0 Hour with Earl Grey. Tell me I'm wrong if you feel like why. It could have been done on Dynamite. But it was an okay match. But in the end, next to seeing a Thunder Rosa's dad there with his cane and seeing that we got some thumbtacks, we got her dad's cane being used as a weapon, and other stuff that was in the match. It wasn't bad. I didn't hate the match. But did I believe Thunder Rosa was going to win? No. Something was telling me she was not going to win due to the fact of how bad the build has been for her. And I'm talking about Mariah. You see me botching my words. When I get frustrated, I botch. Mariah May has had a lackluster story and a lackluster reign. I'm not against Mariah. She did great with Toni Storm. But after she was gone, what did she do? Nothing. The only thing she had that had some story legitimately was Mia Shirakawa. And literally, Mia Shirakawa, I'm like, why didn't you develop Mia Shirakawa more? To have more of a story with her instead of rushing it at Full Gear. And I'm like, I'm like, what a waste. What a waste. A woman who is a Japanese wrestler who can speak English and has a banging body and talks pretty well. She does have character. Taking away her, moving her body to make you want to just grab every part of that body. She can talk. She does have a level of character. She can wrestle. But what did we get? Nothing. So did I think Thunder Rosa was going to get anywhere? No. And I was right. Thunder Rosa did not win here. Was it a bad match? No. But we got nothing new. And it keeps going. Next match. The Dynamite Diamond Ring. Now, let's make this very clear. I'm going to say this right now. I did not care about this match. 100% didn't care who won it. Because in the end, the ring means nothing. The ring doesn't give you the opportunity to go and get a title shot at either the TNT title or the international title or the Continental Classic or the world title does do nothing. It is just a single thing you carry with you that you can use to knock someone out. And that's what MJF has done for the last 5 years. The ring doesn't make him. He's been making the ring. So when this situation came up, if I was right, MJF just keeps winning, and the ring really doesn't mean anything because he only uses it once in a while. And if Adam Cole wins, what will happen? Maybe MJF will be trying to get the ring back, but he'll be trying to get Adam Cole more than he will be trying to get the ring. Now, the story was about how much anger they had towards each other, how Adam Cole's ankle was imploded because of what happened over a year ago, and the blood coming from his head, and MJF as well. They both started bleeding, if I'm right. They both bled. Yep, both them bled. You had already, think about this, you had Will Ospreay bleed. You did have a little bit of bleeding from Kyle Fletcher. Now you got bleeding from MJF and Adam Cole. Next to what happened also with the women's match, the Tijuana match, where there was someone who bled a little bit too. But this is what we got. I didn't really care. The story between MJF and Adam Cole was an old story that should have been ended months ago. But no. Next to them both getting injured, next to MJF doing a movie, the story was cold. And there was no way to restart it again. The only thing I cared about when MJF came back was working with Dan Garcia. Now, that wasn't a bad storyline for him. Seeing him work with Daniel was more interesting than seeing him work with Adam. And I'm not against either one of them. It's just the booking is so bad between the two. They should have changed into something else and added maybe a title or a title opportunity than just a diamond. That diamond ring needs to go away and get burned. I don't care about that ring anymore. I hate that ring is still associated with MJF. It needs to be gone. It just needs to be gone. But in the end, what did we get? MJF was able to retain that title of the ring. And what did we get afterward? MJF getting his ass kicked by Kyle Fletcher, by a Roderick Strong who came back, by, well, let's be honest, Undisputed Kingdom was supposed to watch the ring until MJF tricked the ref. And they went away until after the match was over. They came back, and pretty much those three nailed him. And the ring, throw it on to MJF. And they're standing together. But what now? What does this mean for Undisputed Kingdom? With everyone there. They're supposedly now friends again. What now? What does... Not Kyle Fletcher. I'm sorry, Kyle O'Reilly. You see I'm frustrated. This frustrates me, and I'm getting my names mixed up. When I get like this, I get angry. There was nothing here. Kyle O'Reilly, what does he gain? Nothing. Unless he goes back to the conglomeration, what are they going to do? Nothing. When it comes to Taman and Bennett, what are they doing? Nothing. What is Roderick Strong going to be doing? Nothing. Unless they really book them, they're doing nothing. We gained nothing. Moving on. The next match. International title. Kusuke Okada. No, not Okada. That's later. I am talking about Kateska. I'm sorry. Kateska versus Will Hobbs. The Book of Hobbs says, I'm going to whip your ass. That didn't happen. I'm going to tell you this. When you look at Kateska, what has he done lately? Nothing. He's been in no really important storylines other than what happened with, when he was working with Will Ospreay. And that was brief. It's done. Will has moved on to other people like Ricochet, like Kyle Fletcher. When it came to Kateska and him, nothing. So when you see Kateska, he's holding on to a title that really has no relevance. It really needs to go away. Or at least go on somebody else that maybe they can do something with, like a returning Will Hobbs. Powerhouse Hobbs. I think they could have done something with him. But knowing how they've been treating a lot of the staff and a lot of the wrestlers lately, I'm not surprised he didn't job to Powerhouse Hobbs. He did not. Now, was it a bad match? No, it was actually a decent match between the two. They didn't have a problem with it. The story between the two was a somewhat compelling story because of the connection through Don Callis and Don Callis' family. But since it was so short and there's no real strong build to it, and you see Powerhouse Hobbs building himself up and building himself up, not on Rampage, and build himself up to be a contender for the International Championship, because as far as I know, he didn't go through anybody to get that title, to get the title shot. None. So this is what we got. And I'm like, really? Next, the best match of the night for me personally, TBS Championship, a Mercedes Moné versus a Statlander. Let me say this. This second match, I wasn't looking forward to. I wasn't. It wasn't because I thought Statlander was a bad wrestler or Mercedes, because the story was so bad. And I'm like, Chris, I wish they'd done more with her when she came back. Just saying she needs to go back to the TBS title picture when she's not gone through women to set up for the title picture felt empty. Yes, they had one match and Chris lost. But I would have liked to see some stipulation going through other women, not just going after her, something. And we didn't get that. So when this match happened, I'm like, I'm not looking forward to this. I'm sure they do a good match, but I'm not looking forward to this. But was I wrong? I did love this match. This was the best match of the show for me personally. Honestly, it was such a hard-hitting match, and how hard they really had to work hard after what they've already gone through with the rest of the men. They really had to work hard, and they did. They delivered on this match. Sadly, there was no story behind it. Yes, it's the second match between the two, and yes, you can say easily, during this match, a lot happened. We got 7 twisting suplexes, doing a little bit of Eddie, but instead of doing the 3 amigos, she did about 6 or 7 of them. She upped her number, which was good. Seeing that Chris had to untie her boot to get it loose from the ring because a Mercedes jammed it in there to just screw with her and to make it more harder for her. Seeing that it was so hard-hitting, and seeing the frustration in both women saying, why don't either one of us quit? That was a good story. It was the best match for me personally. It was. But now what? Chris did lose. She got a standing ovation for that match. And you saw a Mercedes Moné break character a little bit and started crying after the match was over because it was that damn good of a match. She was so happy and proud. That match was loved by everybody at Orlando. And I don't blame them because it was that damn good. But now what for Mercedes? What now for Chris Statlander? I don't even know. I don't know how they're going to book them going into 2025. I don't. I'm hoping they'll be better than what they've been doing, but let's move on. Next match. Okada versus Will Ospreay. Now we already had the other matches. We had Will coming out, wrapped up, still got blood on him. It looks like they just cleaned him up a little bit. They didn't let him shower a little bit or clean himself. There was blood down his back. There was still blood on his chest. There was still some blood on his head. He wasn't cleaned up. He was left exactly as he was. So when he goes back out, people will see that he just did his match over an hour or so ago, and now he's got to go back and do another one. They decided to do that, which wasn't a bad thing to do. And this was, to me, the second best. Is this the second best match of the night? I do believe it was. I am going to say that. I do believe this was the second match of the night. Honestly. This was the second best match. Taking nothing away from the other matches, I do believe this was the second best match for me, personally. It was. And here's the thing. Did I believe Will could win? Yes. But should he win? No. Why should he win the Continental Classic? What would he really gain being the Continental Champion? That's the question I pose to you. What would he gain as Continental Champion? That was the problem I was having. When you look at what happened with Eddie Kingston, instead of building Collision around Eddie, like I said so many months ago when he won the Continental Championship and the title Continental Champion, I wanted him to become the head, the new leader of Collision, make the Continental Classic Championship be defended on Collision, be exclusive to Collision, not be seen on Dynamite, and build him as the little head of the top of the pyramid. Let him have those moments. But it wasn't given. He just went and did match after match after match after match after match until Okada won. And I'm like, what a waste. And then you had Okada. Okada, instead of being the head of Collision, because he was a Continental Champion, no. They didn't give him a mouthpiece. And when the Bucks went away, he just was just there. So they had a chance to make something with Collision, and they refused to do. Well, I should say one person. But you get my point. Now, in the end, we know Yusuke Okada won. I believe I'm pronouncing Yusuke. I'm probably mispronouncing his name. Okada did win. But I didn't expect that Kenny would show up. We did get Christopher Daniels saying he's no longer an EVP. He's no longer. That means a vice president. He was vice president, I believe, and then he became an EVP. He's no longer that. He's been replaced with the original one, Kenny Omega. He comes out looking dapper, looking good, looking like this in a suit, come out, hand the title. Okada lifts it over his head, and Kenny walks away. So many people, and you could hear JR, who was on commentary, and he sounded very lively. And this kind of goes with what I said during my Saturday Night Main Event. When you hear a Jim Ross compared to hearing someone who had not done this in so long in a Jesse the Body Ventura. Jesse the Body, if he does this more often, I believe he'll get much quicker and quick. He'll just go like this. But when you hear a JR who doesn't show up on the shows much, he only shows up during pay-per-views because of his health, he is on it. Yes, he has his moments where he lags a little bit, but in general, he's on it compared to Jesse Body, who's got to get on it. There's your difference. Now, let's go to the last match. Fatal 4-Way. I don't really need to say much about this match. It was fine. I was worried about Moxley because he got a gash in the back of his head, and a nasty one at that, and he was bleeding behind his head. But it was alright when it became, well, while he was working, yes, he was able to still work with Jay White, he was able to work with Orange and Adam Page. They were able to work around and be careful just to see if he'll be alright. They weren't trying to grab him behind his head. They were grabbing everywhere else but where he was bleeding. So that was at least a good thing. But by the time this match was over, and I could tell, unless something special happens, this show was nothing. Nothing. And when Moxley won, and he did win with help, because he had to have Marina Shafir, who did take a Blade Runner from Jay White, and a Busaiku knee was given to Jay, as well as several of the moves that was given to a Wheeler Yuta, as well as Claudio Castagnoli. Moxley won again. He managed to retain. We did not see the title. Title was not opened. We still don't know what's in the box. Well, in the briefcase. But then we get FTR coming out. And they did say they're going to show up. They did say they're going to do something. Not show up. They said they'd do something. But they showed up. They can't wrestle, they said. Not until next year. But then the returning Adam Copeland comes in. And I'm going, there we go. There we go. Am I going to get to say on my video, I called it. I was hoping that he tricked FTR, saying, I'm going to come with you. This is how it's going to be. And he waited until he was in the right position and nails both of them. And then the Death Riders come and beat the shit out of FTR. No. He's basically a face. He goes into the ring after FTR beats the crap out of everybody else who had been fighting most of that match, that were outside it. And then they nail pretty much a Jon Moxley until John is dragged away. Now, I have to say that seeing that Adam broke the steel chair and one of the bracelets for the steel chair, put it into Moxley's mouth, and Moxley passes out, that was a good touch. But then there's the problem of the mic. I don't know if I got a shot of it. If I do, it'll be in my face. I don't know if I will even put images in. I think I will put images, but that mic not working. You hear Adam trying to talk into it, and the music is playing, and he's going like this, and then he has to go and change it and calls out Moxley saying, Mox, this is it. Me and them, we're taking it all. And then they make the announcement literally just before the show ends. There's going to be a trios match on the first simulcast of Dynamite. No building into it. No. Guys, instead of letting it marinate that Adam is back and that he wants Moxley and FTR wants the Death Riders. Instead of building into it, not rushing to get into a match, giving them time to fight one another or to talk. No, we go straight into a match. Going straight into the first Dynamite, a trios match, which should not happen. When you look at this show, without Adam and FTR, nothing happened. We got good matches, but nothing happened. Nothing. No Shane McMahon. And no Adam turning heel and being the person behind Jon Moxley. This is all John. And if this is all John, unless they're going to do something special on the first simulcast, and maybe what I just said will happen there, where he will betray FTR, and that's Adam Copeland, and he will be on the side of the Death Riders, or better yet, the Death Riders will be on the side of Adam Copeland. And I know you're going to say, dude, what happened with Christian? You saw how Christian looked. Yes, I saw how Christian is. And that story between him and Christian will be done eventually. If Adam wins the AEW championship, which looks like he's the only other person they can get to win it. If Moxley's going to keep holding that title, if he doesn't, Adam's the only one. The only other story they got will be Adam versus Christian. Period. But here's the thing. Nothing special happened. Nothing amazing happened. Yes, Kenny coming back is a great thing. Adam coming back is also a great thing. But do you believe that this is a show that is memorable? Tell me, are you going to remember World's End as something memorable? No. You'll remember there were good matches on it. You'll remember that Mercedes and Chris Statlander did have a good match. For me, it was the best match of the night. Is it the best match of 2024? No. But it was a damn good match. Okada just managed to not break the all-time record of a Japanese wrestler going through tournaments and winning them. I believe he tied with somebody. That is from New Japan Pro Wrestling. But is that something special? Is that something memorable? No. And that's the thing that I take away from this. There are some good things in the show, like when we get a Kenny Omega coming back. Yeah. We got what? Well, the Death Rider storyline is still going on, which hopefully will lead to something more than what it is. Hopefully. Seeing Adam Copeland being part of that storyline is good, but it's not something special. And that's the problem. It was nothing but Adam and FTR, and it wasn't special enough. I'm sorry. Not even Kenya coming back made the show special. Now, was the show trash? No. The pay-per-view was good, but it was not special. And they needed special. Guys, they needed fucking special. They badly needed something special. Where basically their storylines have been going like this for months and months. And sometimes they actually have a good show that's straight, centered, that made sense, that was exciting. But then go like this. And then the last show of the year, you hope it's something big, something special that will set up for next year. What do we get? A returning Kenny Omega, who is an EVP, which maybe he'll be able to wrestle, which he already did, supposedly in New Japan. And then Adam Copeland coming back, going after Moxley, which I still believe that he could turn heel, but I don't know. This is what we got. And the major situation for me is it's not enough. For everyone else, maybe it is. Not for me. But this is just me. Peace.